Many families consider pets to be a vital aspect of childhood. Forming a bond with a family animal is crucial as children grow, providing both companionship and a sense of security for parents knowing there's a watchful eye over their child. Typically, families choose domesticated animals such as dogs or cats, steering clear of wild animals around their children. But what if circumstances push them into such unexpected situations? David Miller's life diverged from the ordinary path of his neighborhood peers. From a young age, he sought adventure to stave off boredom, a trait that served him well but occasionally posed challenges. Against parental advice, he enlisted in the British Royal Army at just 18, leading him to traverse far beyond his hometown of Manchester. His military service ignited a burning desire for exploration. Upon exiting the army, David sought out even more daring pursuits, leading him to become the captain of an anti-poaching unit in the wilds of Limpopo, South Africa. Embracing the rugged landscapes, he thrived in his role, forging strong bonds with colleagues and securing a property of his own. It was amidst this backdrop that he encountered the love of his life, shaping a new and fulfilling existence in this foreign land. David met a game ranger, Madison Van Wald, while on his regular patrols. The sparks flew instantly, and within the year, they were married. But things would only get better from there. 2 years into their marriage, they had their special girl, Syanda. Syanda was their world. Now a toddler, they would do anything to protect her. But what happened when David walked in on an unexpected scene that would have him worrying for the safety of his family? One day, while out on his daily patrols in the African bush, David and his team proved their usefulness. They tracked some poachers for miles until they caught up to them. They saw they had an animal tied up in the back of their pickup truck. David wouldn't stand for that, and after they captured the poachers, the animal had to be kept under surveillance to ensure it would recover. David loved animals and volunteered at his house, but he never could have expected that it would get out. David was experienced with handling different types of animals. The animal this time was a female cheetah. She appeared to be in shock, so David took her home for the night until they could get her to a vet that was dozens of miles away. He knew what kind of predator she was and put the frightened animal into a cage for the night. She'd be in the hall between his room and his daughter's. But if he knew what was going to happen next, he would have never volunteered. After placing the cheetah in the cage, he spent some quality time with his family. Madison cooked dinner, and the three of them spent an hour after their meal talking about their days. Then it was time for everyone to retire for the evening. David put Syanda to bed and joined his wife in their bedroom. They quickly fell asleep, but David's peaceful sleep would be interrupted by a noise he wished he had never heard. David shot up, his instincts from his military service kicking in, and he grabbed his firearm from the bedside table. He started methodically checking each corner as he crept toward the noise. When he got to the hallway, he looked towards the cage where he had put the docile cheetah. But when he arrived at the cage, he noticed something that made his heart sink and his body jump into action. To David's horror, the cage that housed the small cheetah was now open and empty. He shuddered and thought about where the animal could be. He tried to keep his cool and act quickly. Then the unimaginable happened. He heard the sound again, and he could tell where it came from this time. It was inside his daughter's bedroom. David's heart started racing. He heard the sound of an animal chewing something behind the door. Seeing as it was his daughter's room, quiet rage and panic filled his nervous system. But David knew he had to keep his cool in a dangerous situation. He pushed the door open and scanned the room with his pistol in his hand. But then it was too late. He knew he was too late and that his life would never be the same again. David saw the cheetah sitting in the middle of his daughter's room with one of her dolls in its mouth. She was chewing on it like a chew toy. And then he realized his daughter was sitting right next to her. But it wasn't a look of fear on his daughter's face. It was the look of pure, unbridled joy. She was actually playing with a wild animal. David's mind flashed to what he had seen in the poacher's pickup truck earlier that day. Even though the female cheetah had survived the ordeal, her 2 cubs hadn't. She must have felt some motherly instinct and gone to check on Syanda in the middle of the night. Seeing nothing more than a big kitty in her eyes, Syanda just wanted to play with her. David put his firearm away, and his harsh expression softened at the sight in front of him. David noted how incredibly gentle the cheetah was being with his daughter. He made the decision to review the dossier attached to her enclosure by headquarters. Delving into the history of the cheetah within the game reserve, he uncovered a remarkable fact. She had been hand-reared after her mother fell victim to poachers. This revelation shed light on her seemingly more docile nature compared to other big cats. After welcoming the cheetah into both his home and his heart, David orchestrated her admission to the same game reserve region as himself and his family. Proximity to their residence allowed her to visit freely, forming a unique bond with David and his loved ones. Taking on the responsibility of her care, he ensured she always had a meal waiting, strengthening their connection. To safeguard the privacy of those involved, certain names, locations, and details have been altered as a product of creative license. Any similarities to real-life individuals, places, or events, living or deceased, are entirely coincidental.